our today's theme that talks about from access to autonomy, the impact of financial independence on women leadership. This invites us to reflect on a crucial dimension of empowerment. Financial independence is not merely a personal milestone, something specially for women. It is a transformative force that fuels confidence, decision making, leadership, its potential in every sphere of life. Ladies and gentlemen, let's begin with this wonderful series, the first series, and I would like to welcome Ms. Vishali Jain for into the small presentation which talks about the Global Women Foundation. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Today, we are here to celebrate the strength, resilience, and potential of women worldwide. At the Global Women Foundation, our mission is to turn challenges into opportunities and dreams into reality. At GWF, we are leaders, collaborators, and decision makers, each one breaking barriers and shaping the future. But we know our journey doesn't end here. Our mission is to grow together, learn together, and lead together. Whether it's mastering financial literacy, launching new ventures, climbing the leadership ladder, or advancing careers, our capacity building program is here to support every aspiration. It's curated with the belief that everything comes to us that belongs to us, if we create the capacity to receive it. We believe that true progress comes from a community that supports and challenges each other. At GWF, we create spaces where women uplift women, learning, sharing, and growing together. By fostering a sense of community through our various projects at GWF provides a platform for members to connect, inspire, and work towards collective success. At GWF, we also believe in advocating and reinforcing women's rights and bringing attention to the issues affecting women. From the lanes of Itanagar to the streets of Kanyakumari, we find challenges that need solutions. We invite you to be a change maker in our neighborhood and join our mission to create a safe, inclusive environment where every voice matters. It has happened to all of us. Times when we wished for guidance to navigate challenges. At GWF, young women leaders will find a mentor, a brain to pick, an ear to listen, and a guide to push them in the right direction. Our mentoring program connects women with experienced professionals from diverse fields to support their growth and aspirations. Some of our proudest moments include the 3-day Future Women Leadership Program in Hyderabad, training 50 women from diverse fields from across the country. The program focused on mentorship, training, and women leadership for promoting positive change in the society. Conducted by professors from the IIM Ahmedabad, ISB Hyderabad, corporate leaders, and bureaucrats. The 2023 Women Leadership Conclave featuring inspiring figures like Dr. Kiran Bedi and Saina Nehwal. This was also part of the 3-day program, the Conclave. Session on challenging gender stereotypes with global voices from 4 continents, Africa, Australia, Asia, and Europe. It was an insightful panel discussion with Her Excellency Ambassador, Republic of Uganda, Captain Casey, an Australian Navy officer, Ms. Rasika Chobe, former Secretary Defense Finance, Ms. Julian Drews, Chief Human Resources UNICEF, and Ms. Manisha Sabu, Vice President Infosys Foundation in the panel. We also organized a fireside chat with Ms. Rani Rampal, where she shared stories of resilience, leadership, and the importance of perseverance. A highlight of this event was the participation of school children, whose thoughtful questions and fresh perspectives infused hope for a more inclusive future in sports. Their engagement reminded us of the power of meaningful dialogue in inspiring dreams and fostering change. We are excited about what's next. Training programs for women leaders in grassroots, fellowships to elevate the voices on national platforms, and an upcoming event at the Indian Parliament focused on the role of women in nation building. we invite all of you to be part of this journey towards the change. As you see the flowchart, this flowchart outlines a powerful collaboration between bureaucrats and academicians coming together to mentor young women across diverse fields. Through joint initiatives like workshops, internships, and guest lectures, we can create pathways that inspire confidence, provide real world insights, and open doors to leadership opportunities for the next generation of women leaders. I'd like to share a short video that reflects the spirit of the collaboration I just spoke about.
मेरे घर में आज भी मेरे और मेरे भाई में बहुत अंतर होता है। भाई लोग के पूरा फ्रीडम है पढ़ने के लिए और बहन लोग को नहीं। हम लोग को फोन भी नहीं दिया जाता है पढ़ने के लिए।
विश्वास नहीं है कि फोन पे कहीं ना कुछ दूसरा चीज करने लगे।
जब हम मैट्रिक में थे, मेरी माँ बोली कि जब तुम्हारा 400 प्लस आएगा तब साइंस ले सकती हो।
अच्छा।
नहीं तो नहीं। मेरा 399 आ गया।
400 प्लस में तो टॉप कर देता है लोग।
तो 400 प्लस नहीं आया, 399 आ गया। उसी के कारण आज आर्ट्स पढ़े।
बाप रे, 399 आया इसलिए, मतलब 400 बोली थी और 399 आया इसलिए साइंस नहीं दे रहा। अरे बाप रे।
We know the challenge exists at three levels. The first is the absence of access to education for the girl child. Second, even when education is available, the lack of freedom to choose one's path remains. And finally, true empowerment, the ability to decide, lead, and thrive, is still a distant goal for many. While many incredible NGOs are addressing education at the grassroots, the Global Women Foundation is committed to advancing the next step, empowerment. Together, let's not just educate, let's enable choice, amplify voices, and unlock potential. At the Global Women Foundation, we are not just imagining a better future for women, we are building it one step at a time. Let's continue to inspire, support, and empower each other. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Ms. Vaishnavi Jain, for your wonderful presentation. Let us give a round of applause for the arrival of our Chief Guest, Honorable Chief Minister of Delhi, Mrs. Rekha Gupta. And now the moment we have all been waiting for. It's the highest honor to welcome you, ma'am. I would like to invite Professor Deepika Jain, and our Executive Dean of Jindal Global Law School, to give an introductory and welcome remark. She is one of the founding faculty of our University of Law School. As the founding director of Center for Justice, Law and Society, she is driving groundbreaking work at the intersection of law and marginalization. Please, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. It is an absolute pleasure and privilege to welcome you all to Women Leadership Series. We are deeply honored to be joined today by an extraordinary panel of distinguished and inspiring women whose work continues to shape the world of governance, development, and academia. Please join me in warmly welcoming Mrs. Rekha Gupta, Honorable Chief Minister of Delhi, a trailblazer in public service and an inspiration to countless young women across the country. Ms. Georgia Varesco, Chief of Yuva at UNICEF, a global voice for youth, leadership and gender equality. Dr. C. Rajkumar, Vice Chancellor of OP Jindal Global University, whose visionary leadership has consistently supported institutional transformation with strong emphasis on inclusivity and gender justice. Let us begin with a simple truth. There can be no freedom without economic freedom. A woman who does not have control over her finances is vulnerable to the decisions of others, be it her family, community, or workplace. Financial independence is not just about money in the bank, it's about the power to choose, the dignity to decide, and the ability to walk away from violence, exploitation, and neglect. At Jindal Global Law School, we believe that law is not just a tool for justice, but also a powerful space for transformation. Over the years, we have worked consciously to center women leadership, not just in rhetoric, but in our research, pedagogy, and institutional practices. We are proud of our many research centers to be led by women scholars. 70% of our leadership is led by women scholars. And most important, Professor Manmeet, who's now the director of Kamal, who's co-hosting this event, is also one of our scholars leading this research center. And I'd like to congratulate her and my colleagues, Piyush, Devyani, and Mohit, for bringing this convention together. Thank you all for being here. We look forward to a rich and inspiring conversation.
Thank you, Professor Jain. Thank you for reminding us why we started and encouraging us to keep pushing boundaries with courage and conviction. Now, we invite Professor C. Rajkumar, our founding Vice Chancellor, to deliver an introductory and welcome address and contextualize today's dialogue on leadership, equity, and way forward.
Thank you very much. It's an absolute delight and a pleasure to extend a warm welcome to our chief guest, Honorable Mrs. Rekha Gupta, the Chief Minister of Delhi. I know that our demands and our time is so precious that she chose to accept our invitation and to be here present on this occasion. I want to also extend a warm welcome to our colleagues from the Global Women Foundation, as well as the research center that is hosting from Jindal Global Law School and OP Jindal Global University. Today we have assembled here to discuss about the theme that Women Leadership Series is talking, which is from access to autonomy, the impact of financial independence on women leadership. In fact, the chief guest of today's occasion epitomizes the vision of what we talk about empowerment of women, but most importantly, holding positions of power and responsibility in the form of leadership. I would like to extend a warm welcome to all our distinguished individuals who are present here. I know that there are many civil servants across different walks of life, different departments, representing government agencies, think tanks, research institutions, non-governmental organizations, intergovernmental organizations are present here. Although it's a small group, but it comprises of different stakeholders, including from academia as well as the civil society sector itself. I know that we are all eager to listen to the Honorable Chief Minister, but I'll quickly say that we at OP Jindal Global University are very delighted to be hosting this sort of seminar because of a number of reasons. First, I strongly believe that the issue of financial autonomy as well as empowerment of women is so central to the idea of a pluralistic society that we are attempting to build. Last year, we celebrated the 75th anniversary of the adoption of the Constitution of India. At OP Jindal Global University, we paid tribute by establishing India's first Constitution Museum that was inaugurated by the Honorable Speaker of Lok Sabha, Om Birla ji, as well as the Union Law Minister, Shri Arjun Megwal ji. Since that establishment, we have seen an extraordinary interest in issues relating to constitutional governance, as well as the role that the framers of the Constitution had played in building a pluralistic, an egalitarian, and an inclusive society. At the heart of that pluralistic, egalitarian, and inclusive society is the situation surrounding the rights of women, and more importantly, how we can contribute to the empowerment of women. Let me quickly say that as a professor of law, I'm conscious of the fact that law and legal institutions have a very significant role in advancing the cause of justice. And in our own country, we have seen extraordinary developments in the framework of legislative interventions, including the Equal Remuneration Act in 1976, the Hindu Succession Amendment Act in 2005, which pled for the equal inheritance rights of daughters, Maternity Benefit Amendment Act 2017, and of course the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act 2013. There have been significant judicial pronouncements, including the Vishakha Guidelines of 97, the Shayara Bano case in 2017, the Joseph Shine case in 2018, and the Babita Punia case in 2020. Now, of course, we are also mindful of the fact that law alone cannot solve all the problems. In fact, it is a mistake to believe that if there is a challenge in the form of public policy, or for that matter, in any other aspect of public engagement, law alone cannot solve the problem. We need to have public policy that catalyzes financial empowerment. I want to place on record that there have been significant efforts taken by the government of India in advancing this particular aspect that we're discussing today, the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, which essentially envisages 55% of account holders are women, Stand Up India scheme, loans for SC, ST and women entrepreneurs, Mahila E-Hat, online platform for women-led enterprises, Mudra Yojana, support for women's micro enterprises, and the one-stop centers with focus on legal, psychological, and economic support for survivors of violence. It's also important to mention that the legal and financial literacy that we talk about in the course of today's event also underlines the fact that we need to build an inclusive society where women are in a position to engage in meaningful employment and also have a strong foundation for education. The heart of social and financial empowerment of women is also about creating safe cities so that women can access education as well as employment opportunities. So let us envisage a future where every woman can start her own business, own land or a home, lead in politics, law, medicine, technology, make decisions in courts, companies, and communities, not as exceptions but as equals. Autonomy is not just about personal freedom, it's about shared power, structural change, and social justice. In closing, I want to thank both my colleagues at OP Jindal Global University and Jindal Global Law School, and of course the Global Women Foundation, the government of Delhi, and led by none other than a dynamic and truly visionary Chief Minister, Honorable Chief Minister, whose very presence here signifies the importance she has attached to these conversations and the role of women in leading efforts to advance the cause of empowerment of women. With those words, I want to once again thank all of you for taking time out of your precious schedule on a Friday evening to be present with us. I look forward to the opportunity to interact with all of you in the course of the evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Raj, for setting the stage with your insightful remarks. Your words have inspired us, and we are grateful for your continued leadership and support. And now, we have been waiting for it's our highest honor to welcome the Honorable Chief Minister of Delhi, Mrs. Rekha Gupta, a leader whose contribution to governance and public service have inspired countless women across generations. Shrimati Rekha Gupta ji is an accomplished Indian politician currently serving as the 9th Chief Minister of Delhi. She assumed office in February 2025, becoming the 4th woman to hold the prestigious position. Born on 19 July 1974 in Jalana, Haryana, Shrimati Gupta graduated from Daulat Ram College, University of Delhi. She later pursued legal studies and entered her LLB from IMI RC College of Law, Ghaziabad, affiliated with Chaudhry Charan Singh University, Meerut. Her political career began during her student years. She was elected President of the Delhi University Student Union in 1996, Secretary Delhi University Student Union in 1995, and Secretary Daulat Ram College Student Union in 1994. An active member of the Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh. She began her grassroots political engagement with the Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad. Shrimati Gupta ji has served 3 terms as a councillor in MCT. In the organizational sphere, she has held key positions in the Bharatiya Janata Party, including Secretary of Bharatiya Janata Yuva Morcha, Delhi, General Secretary of the BJP Delhi Unit, and National Vice President of the BJP Mahila Morcha. In 2025, she was elected as a member of Delhi Legislative Assembly from Shalimar Bagh constituency. Following her elections, she was appointed Chief Minister of Delhi, a role she continues to serve with dedication and distinction. Madam Chief Minister, we are deeply grateful for your presence and invite you to deliver the chief address. Please, ma'am.
ये जो टॉपिक है ये बड़ा वास्ट है और मेरे ख्याल से ऐसा कुछ नहीं है जो मैं आपको बताऊं और आपको नहीं पता हो, तो इट विल बी ए वेस्टेज ऑफ टाइम। मैं कहूँ जी महिलाओं की फाइनेंशियल जो एम्पावरमेंट है वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, एवरीबडी नोस, होनी चाहिए, नहीं होती है तो कैसे होता है। वो समय हम सब ने देखा होगा कि जब घर खर्ची के लिए हमारी माँ हमारे पिताजी को कहती थी कि भाई घर खर्च देना है, कई बार झगड़ा भी होता तो इतने में कैसे होगा, और चाहिए, फिर फेस्टिवल आता तो और चाहिए, बच्चे का ड्रेस बनवाना है, नया चीज़ लेना है, ये करना है, घर का सोफ़ा का कपड़ा बदलना है, तो हर चीज़ जो है वो फाइनेंशियल एम्पावरमेंट से जुड़ी है। आपके हाथ में पैसा होता है तो आप कैसा फील करते हैं, और हाथ में नहीं होता है तो कैसा फील करते हैं। वो वेदर ही इज़ ए मैन और ए वुमेन, सबके लिए बराबर। आदमी भी होगा तो उसके हाथ में पैसा होता है, इसीलिए तो वो घर के बॉस होते हैं, अदरवाइज आप क्यों बॉस है? आप जाते हैं बाहर, आप काम करते हैं, आप सैलरी लेके आते हैं, इनकम लेके आते हैं, मैडम को गिनवाते हैं कि देखिए इतना लेके आए हैं तो इसलिए आई एम द बॉस। अगर मैडम आपसे ज्यादा लेके आएगी तो शी विल बी द बॉस। आप क्या लेके आ रहे हैं? हमारी एक IAS ऑफिसर है, मैं अपनी सभी ऑफिसर्स के साथ बैठी थी तो उन सबसे बातचीत होते हुए तो एक बोली कि भी मैं अपने पति से सीनियर हूँ, दोनों IAS ऑफिसर है, तो वो अपने हस्बैंड से सीनियर थी तो एक प्राइड था कि भी मैं सीनियर हूँ। और सीनियोरिटी में आपका पोजीशन भी हो सकता है, आपका फाइनेंशियल लेवल भी हो सकता है, हर चीज आती है। आप घर में 4 बेटे होते हैं तो भी पेरेंट्स जो ज्यादा कमाता है तो उसकी ओर झुकाव रहता है, लोगों को उसको एक अलग नजरिए से देखा जाता है, लगता है कि ही इज अ सीनियर। छोटा भी होगा तो उसको बड़ा माना जाता है। लाइक दैट महिलाओं में भी जिस महिला की इतनी पावर होगी कि वो खुद अर्न कर सके और अपनी स्टैंडिंग कर सके, उसको अपनी जेब खर्ची के लिए मांगना ना पड़े, उससे आगे अगर बढ़े तो अपना घर चलाने के लिए उसे मांगना ना पड़े, अपने बच्चों की विश पूरी करने के लिए उसे मांगना ना पड़े, अपनी जिंदगी जीने के लिए उसको पूछना ना पड़े कि मुझे ये पहनने का मन है, मुझे ये खरीदने का मन है। तो वी नो दैट। और आपने जो विषय रखा एक्सेस से ऑटोनॉमी, एक्सेस मिल जाता है, फिर भी आप अपनी मेहनत के दम पे धीरे धीरे चलते चलते एक्सेस आपको मिल गया, आप उस डोमेन में आ गए। उसके बाद भी आपको अगर ऑटोनॉमी चाहिए तो आपको अपने आप को और एनरिच करना पड़ेगा, अपनी पावर्स को, अपने पोटेंशियल को और बढ़ाना पड़ेगा उस जगह पहुंचने के लिए जहां आप अपने डिसीजन खुद कर सको। और उसके लिए जरूरी है कि आप फाइनेंशियली एम्पावर। ये सब जानते हैं। अब ये जो लोग यहाँ बैठे हैं ये केवल चर्चा करने के लिए नहीं बैठे, ये सोसाइटी को एक रास्ता दिखाने के लिए बैठे कि ठीक है हम सबको मानते हैं, हमें इसमें किसी को कुछ समझाने की जरूरत देन उसके आगे भी तो बढ़ना है। तो मी एज चीफ मिनिस्टर ऑफ स्टेट मैं क्या कर सकती हूँ, मुझे क्या क्या करना चाहिए राज्य की सभी महिलाओं को फाइनेंशियली असिस्ट करने की, ताकि उनके अंदर एक ऐसी शक्ति आ जाए जो उनको आगे बढ़ने के लिए प्रेरणा दे। आप एज ए प्रोफेसर, एज ए अलग अलग जो आपका फील्ड है वहां रह करके क्या कर सकते हैं, ऐसा काम जो हम अपनी टेरिटरी के अंदर इस महिला समाज को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए कर सकते हैं। मुझे लगता है हमें उस पर सोचना चाहिए। जिंदल यूनिवर्सिटी स्टडीज की लेन में है, वो बच्चों को पढ़ा करके, महिलाओं को पढ़ा करके वो रोज वहां से वकील बनाते हैं, अलग अलग फील्ड में डेवलप करते हैं। वो बच्चे वहां से डेवलप होकर के अपनी लाइन ऑफ एक्शन चूज करते हैं, फिर वो प्रोफेशनल फील्ड में जाते हैं, वहां से अपनी अर्निंग शुरू करते हैं। ये अपना काम कर रहे हैं। और आप और हम क्या कर रहे हैं? हम जहाँ पढ़ा रहे हैं, जहाँ हम प्रोफेसर हैं, जहाँ हम लेक्चरर हैं, हम क्या वहाँ पे कुछ कर पा रहे हैं इस काम के लिए, इस मिशन को? देखिए हमारे इतिहास में बहुत सारे लोग जिन्हें समाज सुधारक बोला गया, जिन्होंने सोसाइटी में जितनी कुप्रथाएं थी, मतलब एक समय था जब हम कहते थे बेटी बचाओ, क्यों? क्योंकि वो समय ऐसा आ गया था कि लोग फीमेल फेटिसाइड पे चले गए थे कि बच्ची को मार ही डालो, आप यदि उसे इस दुनिया में ले आए तो न जाने क्या क्या कष्ट उसे झेलने पड़ेंगे और उसके कारण से आपको झेलने पड़ेंगे। तो लोगों ने बच्चियों को मारना शुरू कर दिया, सती प्रथा आई, उसके बाद में विधवा विवाह नहीं होगा, पढ़ाई नहीं करवानी, बाहर नहीं भेजना, रीमैरिज नहीं करवाना, हर चीज मतलब समाज में ऐसी हो गई जैसे कि गला दबा दो लड़की का, लड़की हो तो मतलब एक क्राइम हो गया। माँ भी ऐसे सोचे कि मैंने बेटी को जन्म देके क्राइम कर दिया। धीरे धीरे समाज में सुधार आते गए, कभी कोई संत आया, कभी कोई ऋषि आया, कभी कोई सुधारक आया, धीरे धीरे सोसाइटी में चेंजेस आने लगे। फिर विधवा विवाह खत्म हुआ, फिर सती प्रथा खत्म हुई, फिर धीरे धीरे बच्चियों को कोख में मारना खत्म हुआ, फिर धीरे धीरे और विजन बढ़ा। हमने कहा जी बेटी बचाओ तो शुरू हो गया, अब बेटी पढ़ाओ। बेटी बढ़ाने की दिशा में भारत आगे बढ़ा, तो स्कूलिंग होनी चाहिए। सरकारों ने इनिशिएटिव लिया कि नहीं भाई प्राइमरी एजुकेशन तो होनी चाहिए, 12वीं तक तो पढ़ना ही चाहिए। वहां पढ़े, माँ बाप ने भी अपने माइंड को थोड़ा ब्रॉड किया कि ठीक है बच्ची को कॉलेज भी भेजो, अच्छा बच्चा मेडिकल करना चाहता है इसे मेडिकल करा दो, अच्छा इंजीनियरिंग करनी है करा दिया। एक समय तक कहते एडवोकेट, अरे पागल हो, कौन शादी करेगा? एडवोकेट से कोई शादी करता है? ऐसी भी तो मानसिकता थी। डॉक्टर, तुम डॉक्टर बन जाओगी तो लड़का डॉक्टर ढूंढना पड़ेगा, बड़ी मुसीबत हो जाएगी पेरेंट्स के लिए। तो वो सोच से हम आगे निकले, हमने बच्चों को पढ़ाना शुरू किया। बेटी ने, आज आप भी तो सब बने अलग अलग फील्ड में, आप अपना फेस याद कीजिए, आपने किन मुश्किलों से गुजर करके, हर घर में ऐसा नहीं होगा कि आपके माँ बाप तैयार बैठे हों कि जो आप करना चाह रही थी हाँ बेटा जा करके आ। आपको संघर्ष करना पड़ा होगा। जब आप बाहर पढ़ने जाना चाहती होंगी, जब आप आउट ऑफ टाउन रहना चाहती होगी, हॉस्टल में रहना पड़ा होगा, विदेश जाना पड़ा होगा, तो आपको संघर्ष करना पड़ा होगा। उस मानसिकता से भी फिर हम धीरे धीरे थोड़ा थोड़ा आगे बढ़े। पेरेंट्स ने अपना माइंड ब्रॉड किया, समाज ने थोड़ा ब्रॉड किया, तो बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ, फिर आया बेटी बढ़ाओ। अब उस इरा में हैं हम कि बेटी बढ़ाओ, और बेटी बढ़ाने में हम सबका अपना अपना रोल प्ले होना चाहिए। यूनिवर्सिटीज अपना रोल प्ले करें, हम लोग अपना रोल प्ले करें। आज हम शिक्षा जगत में हैं, आज हम प्रशासन में हैं, आज हम शासन में हैं, हम जहाँ आए हमें उस हर हर्डल को, उस हर स्पीड ब्रेकर को हटाना पड़ेगा जो देश की बेटी को आगे बढ़ने से रोक रही, देश की महिला के एम्पावरमेंट में बाधा बन रही। फाइनेंशियल भी हो सकती है, इमोशनल भी हो सकती है, फिजिकल भी हो सकती है, हर चीज में। आज मोदी जी प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में आए, किसने सोचा था कि वो जब आएंगे 2014 में तो लाल किले की दीवार से खड़े होकर के कहेंगे भाई शौचालय बनाओ। भारत एकमात्र ऐसा देश पूरे विश्व में जहां सबसे ज्यादा ओपन डेफिकेशन था। क्या किसी सरकार ने सोचा? क्या किसी सरकार ने उस पर काम किया था? कोई मतलब ही नहीं, उनको लगता था इट्स अ नेचुरल प्रोसेस, क्या दिक्कत है, किसी ने नहीं सोचा। पर एक लीडर आया जिसने इस पे काम किया कि शौचालय होने चाहिए, टॉयलेट्स होने चाहिए, लोगों को टॉयलेट यूज करने चाहिए। मतलब एकमात्र भारत ही ऐसा देश होगा जहां शौच के लिए शौचालय उपयोग करे, ऐसी सोच लोगों में डाली गई कि भाई टॉयलेट यूज करो, एड कैंपेन चले, अमिताभ बच्चन साहब आ रहे हैं, इज्जत घर। अब देखिए कहां से हमने शुरुआत करी अपने देश में। उसके बाद में उज्ज्वला, उन्हीं का कंसेप्ट था। वो समय हम सब में कईयों ने देखा होगा कि जब माएँ अंगीठी पे खाना बनाती थी, वो समय था जब देश की आधी आबादी जंगलों से लकड़ी लाना और घर पे खाना बनाना में पूरा दिन निकल जाना उसका, वो उसके अलावा कुछ सोच ही नहीं सकती थी। देश में गैस आई, चूल्हा आया, धीरे धीरे महिलाएं फ्री होने लगी, अपना 2 घंटे 4 घंटे जो बचा कुछ काम करना, कुछ बच्चों को पढ़ाना, कुछ और सोचना, अपने लिए सोचना, उसने सोचना शुरू किया। तो देश में एक रेवोल्यूशन शुरू हुई। मुद्रा योजना के माध्यम से कितने लोगों को लोन मिला, अलग अलग योजनाओं को मोदी जी ने वुमेन सेंट्रिक किया, हर योजना को। यहाँ तक कि जो घर भी सरकार ने दिए, उस घर की ऑनरशिप घर की महिला को दी गई कि भी इसके घर पे नाम करो, ताकि पति से झगड़ दोगे तू बाहर जा, है क्यों जा, मेरे घर पे नाम, घर मेरे नाम पे है। तो ये सोच डेवलप करना। नहीं तो अभी आपने बताया कि भी पिछली सरकारें वो भी थी जिन्होंने शाहबानो जैसे एपिसोड देश में किए कि अरे इस महिला को कैसे आप मुंह दे देंगे कि आप इसको देने का कोई अधिकार ही नहीं है, कि आप इसको अगर तलाक चाहती है तो इसको किसी भी तरीके का कोई उसके अगेंस्ट अमाउंट नहीं मिलना चाहिए। तो ये सरकारें वो भी सोचती थी हमारी सरकार का तख्ता पलट हो जाएगा, इसलिए उसने उस कानून को उल्टा कर दिया कि दे ही नहीं सकते हैं महिलाओं को। तो ऐसा भी जमाना रहा। तो आज मेरा ये कहना है कि इस प्लेटफॉर्म पे यदि हम लोग बैठे हैं, हम सबको अपनी अपनी जगह पर आज से सोचना शुरू करना और सोच करके उसके इम्प्लीमेंटेशन के लिए जहां हमारी कलम में बड़ी ताकत होती है। आज आप सबके पास कलम, हम छोटे ग्रुप में जरूर बैठे पर पावरफुल ग्रुप, जहां हम हैं हमारे कारण से देश की इस आधी आबादी को अधिकार मिले। मैं तो बढ़ गई हूं पर मेरे बाद कोई ना बढ़े, ये कंसेप्ट। मैं बढ़ी हूं, मेरे नीचे की एक लेयर तैयार हो, उनको आगे बढ़ने का मैं मौका दूं, नया रक्त संचार करूं इस सोसाइटी के अंदर चीजों को, और हर व्यक्ति जो सोसाइटी में चेंज लाता है वो याद किया जाता है। ये बात आप समझ लीजिए। आज आप अपने लेवल पे भी जो सुधार करेंगे वो आपकी पीढ़ियां याद रखेंगी। वो कहेंगे कि देखिए कोई एक बेटी, कोई एक महिला जब आपके कारण से एम्पावर होगी तो वो आपको याद करेगी, देखिए मेरी मदद उस व्यक्ति ने की, उसने मुझे रोजगार दिया तो आज मैं पैरों पे खड़ी हूँ, उसने मेरी मदद करी तो मैंने अपना व्यवसाय शुरू किया, उसने मेरी मदद करी तो मुझे नौकरी मिली। तो हम सब अगर उसको करते हैं, तो मुझे तो मोदी जी की एक बात याद रहती कि देश जो है केवल सरकारों के चलाने से नहीं चलने वाला, मुख्यमंत्री मंत्री यही सब कुछ कर सकते तो देश आगे बढ़ चुका होता। आज हम अपने 2047 की ओर बढ़ रहे हैं, आजादी को 100 साल हो जाएंगे, पर देश उस स्पीड में बढ़ नहीं पाया। इसके लिए हमारी जो पॉपुलेशन है 150 करोड़ की ओर हम बढ़ चुके हैं। ये 150 करोड़ लोग जब देश की प्रगति के लिए, समाज की उन्नति के लिए एक एक कदम भी बढ़ाना शुरू करेंगे तब देश आगे बढ़ेगा। तब आप मानिए कि रोजाना देश 150 करोड़ कदम आगे बढ़ जाएगा। तो आज से हम लोग सोचना शुरू करें, आज से मैं क्या कर सकता हूं, मैं अपने समाज के लिए, देश के लिए, महिलाओं के लिए, बच्चों के लिए, शिक्षा के लिए, हर चीज के लिए मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ, पर्यावरण के लिए, वातावरण के लिए। ये समाज, देखो हवा का पॉल्यूशन तो शायद सरकारें खत्म भी कर देंगी, पर समाज का जो पॉल्यूशन है ना वो हम सबको मिलके खत्म करना पड़ेगा, ये उसके बिना होगा नहीं। तो आज का ये जो इवेंट है इसमें आप सबकी जो सहभागिता हुई है, मैं ये सोचती हूँ इसकी यूटिलिटी तब है, इसका होने का प्रभाव तब है जब हम सब लोग अपनी एनर्जीज को मल्टीपल करें और ये सोचें कि यस मुझे सपोर्ट करना है सोसाइटी की उस हर बेटी को जो पढ़ना चाहती, जो आगे बढ़ना चाहती। मेरे कारण से 10 ऐसी बच्चियां मैं खड़ी करूं जो आगे IAS की तैयारी कर रही है, जो कोई कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम दे रही है, जो स्कूल में एडमिशन लेना चाहती है, जो कोई काम, कोई व्यापार शुरू करना चाहती है, जो नौकरी करना चाहती है। हम सबकी एनर्जीज जब उस दिशा में लगेगी तो 100% वो एक महिला पूरे परिवार को तरक्की की राह पे ले जाएगी और हम सबको बड़ा गर्व महसूस होगा कि हमने इस मातृभूमि के लिए कुछ किया। एक और बात जो मैं हमेशा कहती हूँ वो आप सबको भी कहना चाहती हूँ, आजकल पहलगाम का केस हम सब देखते हैं, टीवी पे देखते हैं, सेनाएं लड़ रही हैं, काम कर रही हैं, रक्षा कर रही हैं देश की, आतंकवादियों को मार दिया। हम सबके अंदर जो देशभक्ति की भावना है ना वो उस समय निकल के आती है, हमें लगता है यस दिस इज राइट, ऐसे ही होना चाहिए, मार डालो, ये करो, ऐसे करो। और हम देशभक्त हैं ये दिखाने के लिए हमारा मन करता है कि हम ही सरहद पे चले जाए, हम ही बंदूक हाथ में पकड़ लें, हम ही दुश्मन को मार डालें। पर सच बताऊं, ना कभी आपको सरहद पे जाने का मौका मिलेगा, ना कभी सीने पे गोली खाने का मौका मिलेगा और ना ही दुश्मन पे गोली चलाने का मौका मिलेगा। कुल मिलाकर के देशभक्ति दिखाने का कोई मौका आपको मिलने वाला नहीं है। तो क्या करें भाई, देश के लिए मरने का मौका नहीं मिलेगा पर देश के लिए जीने का मौका जरूर आपके पास है। तो इसलिए देश के लिए जीना शुरू करना है आज से, अभी से। मैं जहां हूं उसी प्रोफाइल में मैं अपने देश के लिए क्या कर सकता हूं, क्या कर सकती हूं, वहां से सोचना शुरू करेंगे तो मैं समझती हूं कि देश के प्रति हमारा जो भाव है उसे भी हम पूरा कर पाएंगे, समाज के लिए जो हम सोचते हैं उसको भी इम्प्लीमेंट कर पाएंगे और कुल मिलाकर के इस देश की तरक्की में, विकसित भारत में हमारा भी चाहे गिलहरी जितना हो योगदान जरूर होगा। तो इसलिए मैं तो बस इतना ही कह सकती हूँ कि भरा नहीं जो भावों से, बहती जिसमें रसधार नहीं, हृदय नहीं वो पत्थर है जिसमें स्वदेश का प्यार नहीं। थैंक यू सो मच।
Thank you so much, Madam Chief Minister, for sharing your insight with us. We are deeply moved with your message. It echoes the spirit of this evening and strengthens ourselves. You have reminded us that leadership is not about commanding attention. It's about, for all of us, commanding respect through actions and empathy. We are truly grateful for your presence and encouragement. It is now my privilege to introduce a very powerful voice in the global dialogue on youth and leadership. Ms. Georgia Beresco, Chief of Yuva at UNICEF. Ms. Beresco has been at the forefront of empowering youth and shaping policies that create inclusive futures. Georgia has over 20 years of experience in international development with a primary focus on adolescents and youth development, education, employability, private sector engagement, and social impact. She currently serves as the Chief of Section Adolescents and Youth Development ADAPT at UNICEF, where she leads $30 million annual program supporting alternative education pathways, youth transitions from learning to earning, and civic engagement in a complex humanitarian and economic environment. Before her current role, Georgia serves as Chief at ADAPT at UNICEF Jordan, where she managed $80 million multi-year program successfully, expanding and diversifying its funding base and forging innovative partnership with the private sector. Previously, she held senior partnership and resource mobilization roles at UNICEF UK, where she secured and managed multi-million dollar partnership with major global companies such as Barclays, Unilever, and Marks and Spencer. Georgia holds a master's degree in peace and development. Please join me in welcoming her for the keynote address.
Distinguished guest, Honorable Chief Minister of Delhi, Ms. Rekha Gupta, colleagues and friends, good evening. It's a true honor to join you today, and I would like to begin by extending my heartfelt thanks to the Global Women Foundation and OP Jandal Global University for hosting this event. Your efforts in convening such a diverse and influential gathering of leaders, activists, and thinkers reflect your unwavering commitment to gender equality and social transformation. I am also grateful to be in the company of such an inspiring group of leaders, practitioners, and change makers from across the sectors. It's gathering like this, where ideas, experience, and purpose intersect, that remind us of what's possible when we act collectively. Today, I'd like to speak about something I've seen again and again throughout my career, the transformative power of financial independence in ongoing pathways of leadership. We often speak about glass ceilings and the barriers women face when they aspire to lead. But long before women enter boardrooms or decision-making spaces, there is a more fundamental determinant of agency, access to and control over financial resources. Financial independence is not just about earning money, it's about the power to choose, to influence, to stand on your own feet, and to lead. Over the course of my career, I've worked across regions, from the Middle East, Central and South Asia, and have seen up close how financial inclusion has the power to shift a woman's trajectory. I remember meeting a group of young women in Jordan who had received support to start their own businesses. 3 years later, they told me how it had transformed their lives, not just because they had become entrepreneurs, but because they had gained something more profound, trust. With financial independence came a new role within their families and community. These were women who, before, had been excluded from key decisions, even those that affected them and their own children. Now they were sitting at the table, helping shape decisions for the entire household and for the community. That shift from being invisible to becoming agents of influence is what true empowerment looks like. I have met young women who used small grants to start their first businesses, from running local tailoring collectives to launching digital services, and later became mentors to other girls and women in their communities. And I've seen how, when women thrive economically, entire families and communities move with them. But let me be clear. Financial inclusion alone is not enough to guarantee leadership. Financial inclusion is indeed an enabler, a first and essential step, but it must be followed by access to networks, to opportunities, to skills and spaces where decisions are made. In this sense, financial independence is the foundation and leadership is the horizon. At Yuva, UNICEF Generation Unlimited platform in India, we see this every day. Young women are not just seeking jobs, they're asking bigger questions. What's possible for me? What are my options? How can I support others? And how do I lead? Take, for example, Jui, a young beauty parlor owner in Pune, Maharashtra. She undertook rigorous training facilitated by Yuva and our partners and received seed funding to start her own beauty parlor. The financial independence was turning point, not just in her career, but in how she saw herself. Earning her own income and launching her own makeup studio gave her a deep sense of confidence and purpose. It wasn't just about building a business, it was about realizing that she had something valuable to offer others and to contribute to household. Earning her own income and launching her studio gave Jui the confidence to step into a leadership role. She began mentoring other girls in her community, sharing her skills and guiding them on how to start their own journeys. She became a leader who promises to take young girls like her to economic independence. In rural Jharkhand, Yuva is enabling young women to become beekeepers in the villages, providing them with an income generation opportunity that doesn't require them to migrate. The response has been overwhelmingly positive. What stands out in our interaction is not just their enthusiasm, but their foresight. These young women are already making plans to invest their earnings, savings, for their children's education, managing household medical expenses, and contributing to family decisions. Financial independence is not only giving them agency, it's positioning them as leaders within their household as women who earn, plan, and lead. Whether it's through digital platform, Youth Hub, through our partnership with the state governments on skilling and employment, or through our bold new models like Didi Ki Dukaan, we are helping young women envision future that were once out of reach, and more importantly, equipping them with tools to act on those possibilities. While progress is undeniable, there is still work to be done to ensure that every woman has a fair chance to lead. Women, especially those from marginalized backgrounds, continue to face barriers, from limited access to formal financial systems, gender norms, or limited mobility. They're just some examples. But these challenges are not insurmountable, especially when we bring the kind of multi-sectoral commitment represented here today. As we think about leadership, we need to continue to broaden our definition. Leadership is not only about titles or visibility, it's about agency and about being able to shape outcomes in one's home, workplace, or community. The young woman employing others in a village, she's a leader. The mother making decisions about education and finance for the first time, she's also a leader. And I've met these women, and trust me when I say they lead. What this experience in Jordan, in India, and beyond continue to teach me is that when we invest in women's financial independence, we unlock far more than economic outcomes. We create space for influence, for voice, and for shared decision-making, not just in public life, but within house and communities. As we think about the next chapter for women's leadership, whether it's in policy, business, in social change, we must ensure that the foundations are strong. Access, yes, but also trust, choice, and recognition. I hope today's conversation helps us move into a shared commitment to shaping a system where women lead because they're trusted to, not because they're invited to. Thank you.
So I would like to invite Mrs. Ratnaji for a Global Foundation to just for a concluding remark.
As we conclude today's powerful discourse, one truth rings very loud and clear. Financial independence is not just the goal. It is the turning point. It is a catalyst that transforms women from being silent contributors to bold leaders, from being just the participants to path breakers. But true autonomy begins when a woman has the economic freedom to make her own choices, and from there, naturally, being a leader automatically follows. So today, ma'am, I extend our deepest gratitude to our Honorable Chief Minister of Delhi, Mrs. Rekha Gupta ji, for her vision and leadership, for the bold initiatives of the Delhi government that are opening doors for the women across the city, for upskilling and leadership. Ma'am, under your leadership, it is not just creating opportunities, it is shifting mindsets and redefining possibility. प्रशिक्षण से लेकर उद्यमिता तक आपके निवृत्त में केवल अवसर ही नहीं बन रहे हैं, बल्कि सोच को बदल रहे हैं और संभावनाओं की नई परिभाषा कर रहे हैं। पहले जहां ध्यान महिलाओं के विकास पर था, का फोकस महिलाओं द्वारा नेतृत्विक विकास पर है. So from being oriented towards development of women, the focus is now on women-led development. So thank you so much, ma'am, for your vision and leadership. To Ms. Georgia Verisco, the Chief of Yuva, our sincere thanks for your compelling insights and spotlighting UNICEF's unwavering commitment towards empowering young women. And your initiatives are not just building bridges from leadership to learning, but also from being adolescents to autonomy, and also laying bridges for generations of fearless women who are also game changers and agents of change. So thank you so much for your contributions. Our heartfelt appreciation to Professor Rajkumar, Vice Chancellor of OP Jindal Global University, for also accepting to sign the MOU with the Global Women Foundation. So this collaboration is not just a document, and it is a declaration of our shared commitment and our purpose to advance the cause of women, not just through education, but also through research and innovation. Thank you, Professor Rajkumar. The Global Women Foundation continues to stand as a force for women empowerment. It is relentless, focused on women-centric issues, especially in upskilling and economic inclusion, and is changing lives. And today's event reaffirms its role as a driving force in shaping a more equitable world. So let us leave today not just being inspired, but also committed to ensuring that every woman, no matter where she begins, has the opportunity to lead. Because when a woman gains financial independence, she not only uplifts herself, but also uplifts the entire communities around her. So to all the male supporters in this hall, please give a big shout out to all the strong women here. May we know them, may we be them, and may we raise them. So thank you so much.